watch party. So you got to join us for August 23rd, Dublin, Ireland, Farmageddon, the Cyclones versus the Wildcats. But today we cannot pull that off because there's too much going on. We are in the Holy Smokes Theater. And we are going to talk about some possible North Carolina skullduggery that has been reported today in the News and Observer, which a lot of people I don't think have been paying attention to. There is getting more mainstream press about what was written in Inside Carolina 247 a couple of days ago, which we already did a live show 2 days ago on that. And I told you at the time that it was a legitimate report by legitimate people, and it is exactly, it mirrors what the chatter behind the curtain is saying about North Carolina. Look, we've been honest here at Peek Around the Corner. To our detriment, we've been honest. It has not hurt. It has not helped. It has not helped this college football, National College Football YouTube channel. It did not help that we were honest last summer. It did not help the growth of this YouTube channel when we said that North Carolina was the number one target for the SEC and the Big Ten. It did not help the growth of this YouTube channel when we said nobody is going to be filing the notice of withdrawal before August 15th of last summer. It did not help the growth of this YouTube channel when we said that ESPN is not going to drop the content of the ACC. They're not going to walk away from that. It does not help the growth of this channel when I say nothing has been settled, nothing has been done. That is the truth. Nobody's got a deal here. Nobody had a deal before Florida State and Clemson went into the courts. That was the truth. It was the truth then, and it is obvious the truth now for everybody. It did not help this program to tell people the truth. While other people were spewing out a lot of BS, this program stuck to the truth. Now, we don't know the whole truth, obviously. I don't have a crystal ball. All I can give to you is the best peek around the corner in the business. North Carolina is what the Big Ten wants. North Carolina is what the SEC wants. And they're both not going to get North Carolina. There are other valuable schools out there that the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be interested in. But it is North Carolina. And I am going to throw a curveball today. I'm going to talk about something that I did not think I was going to talk about. And we are going to call it the Clemson curveball. This is how unsettled things are. Now, ladies and gentlemen, you know I really had to put out my prediction. I did it on April 9th. I did it because every show, the chat room was occupied with, Greg, what do you think's going to happen? Greg, make a prediction what was going to happen. And so I made that prediction. I said the SEC is going to make the big scoop. They're going to take North Carolina, Virginia, Florida State, and Clemson, and then Notre Dame is going to have to finally make their decision to leave, to go to the Big Ten. The Big Ten will take Miami, and then we'll check it out if the Big Ten takes another school. That was my prediction. And at the time, I said I had about a 1% chance of getting it right. Unlike the USC story, unlike the Colorado, Arizona State, Utah, unlike the other stories that we have broken here at Peek Around the Corner, this is not one that we're going to get correct. It's just, I mean, there's a chance, but not much. Things are unsettled. They are active. They are fluid. And I'm not using those words to cop out of anything. I'm using those words because that's exactly what is going on. I've got a curveball I'm going to throw at you guys later in the program. I had a conversation 2 days ago, or was it 3 days ago? 3 days ago. It was the day before Inside a Carolina piece came out. And I have gotten permission to talk about it vaguely. I have gotten permission from a good friend of mine who is part of the great college football YouTube channel, College Football Mafia. His name is Moen, the evil Buckeye. I got his permission before I came on live to tell you all that I had a conversation with Moen. I had a conversation with Moen on this Clemson curveball the day before the Carolina Insider piece came out. So this is not expo facto, whatever those words, whatever that is. This is actually a conversation that I had somebody regionally, somebody in the state of South Carolina. And then I had a conversation with Moen. Today we've had a couple more conversations. We went back to the Money Perch of North Carolina. And we are going to get into it. I don't know if everything seems to be what Inside of Carolina. I don't know if we got the correct read on it. The North Carolina piece, yes. North Carolina aiming to get into the SEC, yes. The Southeastern Conference has mobilized to get North Carolina. That has been going on for a couple of years. We've been reporting that. Yes, yes, yes. But it is the Clemson piece that has become, in my opinion, fascinating. And once we get that figured out here at Peek Around the Corner, then I think we may be able to figure out the other domino pieces. The Clemson piece is uncertain at this time. So we are going to get into that. But first we're going to go into, before we do that, we're going to go into the Skullduggery of North Carolina. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. If the reporting, allegedly, we're going to go into the report of News and Observer. But before we do that, I got one more last college football playoff rant. This is going to be my last rant on this subject. We are going to report about it. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to take whatever you guys have to say in super chats in the chat room and your phone calls. We are going to continue to talk about what is going to be the college football playoff format for 2026 and beyond. But I am not going to lose my composure after today. This is going to be my last and final, the fat guy from Minnesota rant on the college football playoffs. This is going to be my last one. I promise you. I promise you. I'm not going to lose it. After today, I'm not going to lose it. But God Almighty, what is wrong with you all? What is wrong with the commissioners? What is wrong with the reporters? What is wrong with the vast majority of the PATC family? I don't get it. I do not get it. I am at a complete loss. I don't understand. I do not understand. I do not understand what Tony Petitti. I do not get his game plan. I don't understand what he's doing. And I agree with him. And I don't understand what he's doing. It ain't gonna work. It's dead, baby. It's dead. It can work. You can put together Frankenstein. He's alive. He's alive. You can do it. But you ain't. You're beating a dead horse, man. You're beating a dead horse. Can somebody get to Tony Petitti? Please. This is important, man. If we get this right, this is important. You know how we got a national deficit? Do you know why what are we? 23 or is it 32? $23 trillion in debt, or 32, maybe it's 32. Do you know why we're so much in debt? Because politically, to pass anything, you got to get you got to pork it up, baby. You got to pork it up. Everyone's got to get their little thing in there to get their vote. Right? Right? You got to use the national credit card to get everybody's votes, to get this passed, to get that passed, to get this back scratched, to get that back scratched. Well, guess what? The college football playoffs is almost as important as the national debt, as our budget. Pork it up, baby. Pork it up. To get this passed, you got to make it bigger. You got to make it bigger. You got to give something to the ACC. You got to give something to the Big 12. You got to give something to the SEC. Petitti, you've got to make it bigger. And if you don't, look, I respect you. You are the Big Ten commissioner. With all due respect, this is a national college football show. I'm not On 3. I'm not Amy Staples. I'm not Wasserman. I'm not Colin Cowherd. I'm not 365. They're all professionals. They got to remain. They got to keep their access. They got to. Not me. I got to say it like it is. This is a show for nobodies that is run by a nobody. But I got to tell it like it is. You're beating a dead horse. You can't. This is what Tony Petitti did. This is what Tony Petitti did. He actually went out there and answered questions after he left the microphone. And he answered a particular question, and he answered it like this. He said, when asked about the value of the conference championship game, when asked, does the value of your conference championship game gets diminished if we do these automatic qualifiers in these playing games? I'm paraphrasing the question, but you get what I mean, right? The question was to Tony Petitti, does the value of the conference championship game get devalued in your world, in your vision of automatic qualifiers and playing games? And he said, no, it doesn't. He says, we value the conference championship game and the playing games. We want the championship game to determine the champion of the conference, and then that winner of that championship game helps them potentially get a bye. And the loser of that conference championship game still makes the playoffs. And then we would have play-in games. It sounds great, Tony. It sounds great. But the question wasn't about the Big Ten. The question was about everybody. In a 4-4-2-2-1-3, the Big 12 and the ACC would not have that option. They could not do both. A conference championship game and a play-in game. They don't have that option. It's either a championship game and winner and loser both go to the playoffs and 2 automatic qualifiers, and there it is. Or they could do 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, and have 2 play-in games. But they would not have a conference championship game. Right? When you go up there and you answer that question in that way, you are isolating, again, the ACC and the Big 12. And I get it. In theory, you don't need the Big 12 and the ACC support. In theory. But you're getting hammered. You are getting hammered out there. Now, there are, let's be honest, there are college football reporters that would never, ever, ever have your back, Tony Petitti. We know this. We know this. Especially a couple out west, some in Big 12 country, they're not going to have your back. But you are getting hammered because you are saying this is best for college football when it's really only best for the Big Ten. The AQ model, this is going to be the fat guy from Minnesota's last rant on this subject. And then I'm going to walk away. I'm going to continue to report on it. If you ask my opinion, I'm going to give you my opinion. If you ask my opinion in the super chat, if you ask my opinion when you make a phone call, I'm going to give you my opinion. But this is my last rant. The AQ model blows away the 5+11. 5+11 with the SEC staying at 8 conference games. Thank God Tony Petitti is stopping that. Actually, the Big 12 fans, to be honest with you, and ACC, but more Big 12 fans, you should be thanking your lucky stars that Tony Petitti is stopping that. Every Big 12, almost every Big 12 YouTube channel, not all of them, holy smokes. They're going after Tony Petitti, and they would let They got blinders on when it comes to Sankey. Tony Petitti is the bad guy, while Greg Sankey is trying to steal your milkshake. It is truly unbelievable. The 5+11 is an abomination. The 5+11 is just propaganda. And then, again, this is my last rant, and then we got a big show ahead of us. UNC Skullduggery, and then we're going to go into the Clemson curveball. But people made fun of Tony Petitti. Again, he's not doing a good job arguing this case. He's got to make it bigger. He's got to go to 18. He's got to give ACC and Big 12 something to vote for. It's ridiculous. The 442213, it's dead, Tony. It's dead. But when he was asked, is it good for college football that a 6-3 Illinois team, if they would win a play-in game, should they be in the playoffs? And he said yes. And he got mocked by the college football reporters and a lot of college football fans. Are you guys out of your mind? The reporters, college football, I'm sorry, guys. What is the problem? What is the problem with the team finishing in the top 4 of a conference, winning some tiebreakers, getting into a play-in game, winning the play-in game, and going into the playoffs? That is winning it on the field. You had Ole Miss. What was Ole Miss's conference record last year? You had SEC teams that had 3 losses that finished ahead of BYU. All 3 of them. South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss, not 1, not 2, but all 3 finished ahead of BYU. All 3. And a couple of them had 3 conference losses. Lane Kiffin bitched about it. Shane Beamer, South Carolina, mocked everything. They were mocking Indiana, SMU. They were mocking BYU. They were in these national reporters. Some of them were willing to fight. Paul Feinbaum, they were willing to get in an SEC team in a 12-team playoff with 3 conference losses that did not win a play-in game. So suddenly somebody is against a team with 3 conference losses and a 16-team playoff that wins a play-in game? This is my last rant. By far the greatest playoff model is an AQ model, but 16 is not big enough. Not in this reality. It's not. So you got to go to 18. And if you don't want to go to 18, then just forget about it. Go to 5+11, stay at 5+7, and we're going to have changes to these conferences. We're going to have more realignment. The playoffs are going to grow. The numbers are going to grow because the conferences are going to grow. We're going to have bigger super conferences. We are going to maintain unbalanced schedules. And there's nothing you can do about it. So having a play-in game within a conference, that is winning it on the field. Why that is being mocked, I have no idea. I am completely lost. I'm lost here, guys. I am befuddled. I feel like I'm the minority of one person. Tony Petitti has the right model, but the wrong prototype. The SEC knows exactly what they're trying to do. They said it again. On3 had a report. They looked at the model of the 5+11. The coaches saw that they could get 6 to 7 teams in each and every playoffs, and that's why they went for it. And this is what Big 12 and ACC fans want. And then when the Big 10 demands, oh boy, that if you're going to have a 5+11, the SEC has to go to 9 conference games, the Big 10 are the bad guys. It makes no logical sense. None. So, Tony, you've already saved. You've actually saved the ACC and the Big 12 from losing more ground by standing your ground on not having a 5+11 with the SEC staying at 8 conference games. You've done good there. But Tony, you've got to make the 8-cube model bigger. You got to go to 18. If you're not willing to do that, if you cannot think outside the box, if you can't go to 18, then drop everything. Stay at 5+7 until the next wave of disruption. And that is what we're going to get to next. We are going to get to the next wave of disruption. Preston from Greensboro, I dig Skullduggery. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for starting us off here, Preston from Greensboro. I do so much. Very appreciate your generosity. Greensboro, North Carolina. Thank you so much. Ryan Willie. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. I'll get to that in a second. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on here at Peek Around the Corner. MBM AQs are participation trophies. Every conference but the Big 10 wants 5+11. 5+11 is a propaganda machine. And it's a buzzsaw. And you are going to run the Big 12 right into that buzzsaw. MBM, thank you for being a member for 14 months. 14 months. Holy smokes. Thank you, Mr. Cowboy. Thank you for your generosity. You are officially knighted, cloak and dagger. Expedition Greg. No Big 10 expansion without Miami and Florida State. Thank you, Expedition Greg, for your super chat. We will go into the Holy Smokes Theater in just a little bit. Thank you so much, Mr. Buckeye. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys, for helping us keep the lights on here. First of all, about Hulk Hogan. And then we'll get on to the show. Again, as you all know, as I've talked a little bit about pro wrestling, and I'm from Minnesota, and I'm an old man. I grew up during the AWA days. I was never a WWF guy. My childhood was not Hulk Hogan. It was Nick Bockwinkel. When Nick Bockwinkel died, I felt something. I think I probably felt what a lot of you all are feeling about Hulk Hogan dying. A little bit of your childhood dies with it. Nick Bockwinkel was the guy that we watched before we went to church every Sunday morning. I think it was Channel 9. I don't know. Hulk Hogan was in the AWA. He wrestled Nick Bockwinkel, and Vern Gagne should have probably given the belt to Hulk Hogan, because after he wrestled Nick Bockwinkel a bunch of times and they never gave the belt to Hulk Hogan, he went off into WWF, and then the rest is history. So rest in peace, Hulk Hogan, an incredible success, unbelievable to the wrestling industry. A lot of jobs were created through that entertainment. And Hulk Hogan is a big reason why. Now, again, I'm not a big Hulk Hogan wrestling fan. I was a Nick Bockwinkel, Harley Race. Not so much a Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan drew the people, drew the money, and rest in peace. And I know he wasn't the perfect guy. I get it. He made some mistakes in public and in private. But he's a child of God, and rest in peace. None of us are perfect. I always put out a rest in peace to people that I know, celebrities or people that I know, impactful people in my life, on my X account. And there is not one person that I've ever said rest in peace that was the perfect person, right? Only in my belief, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes. I meant to step on your toes when I did my CFP rant. I did? Yes, I meant to step on your toes, but I don't mean to step on your toes when it comes to our beliefs. In my belief, we only go forward by the grace of God, our Creator, our Heavenly Father. So I'm going to need that grace just like Hulk Hogan needed that grace, just like I think everybody needs that grace. Savior paid the ransom for our lives, for our sins. Hulk Hogan, Terry, the next time, to his loved ones, to his family, to all of his people that he worked with, everybody who loved him, his family, the next time you see Hulk Hogan, it will be forever. Thank you, Ryan Willie. Thank you, Ryan Willie, for the super chat and reminding me of that. Appreciate it. Okay, we go to that. And we go into some skullduggery. Okay. Yes, I remember Dick the Bruiser. Boy, I don't even... Okay. I'm going to make sure I say something here. This article is coming from News and Observer, a credible outlet. Okay? They've done great work, just like WRAL, when it comes to FOIAs and things of that nature, when it comes to this drama inside the Holy Smokes Theater. But before I get into this article, I'm going to say the word allegedly. Allegedly. I don't want to be a part of any court case. I'm just reporting what News and Observer is reporting. That's all I'm doing. I'm an absolute nobody. I know nothing. Big player in media deals helped UNC navigate conference reshuffling, Bills reveal. Dan Kane. This was early this morning. Not a lot of people have read this or are even aware of this. UNC Chapel Hill paid nearly $650,000. Now we know this, right? To a prominent law firm over the past 3 years to prepare for a rapidly shifting landscape in college sports as prominent universities jump from one power conference to another. Now, this was part of a lot of people's reports. Brian Murphy had this, right? A lot of people had this. Ross Dellinger had this. A big, major, powerful law firm that is named later in this article. By the way, that law firm is entrenched at University of Virginia. which is a part of the story that we're not going to go down that road today. But this powerful law firm, okay, this is not new. The legal help was needed, campus officials said, to help with issues related to the business of college athletics that grew more urgent when two schools sued the Atlantic Coast Conference over severe financial penalties it would impose if they left. The legal bills defined the work as the Carolina Blue Matter. Again, nothing different. We know this. We know this. Right? But more detailed bills UNC released after a local lawyer, and you know who that local lawyer is, sued, reveals that another company, the Wasserman Media Group, received more than a quarter of that $650,000. The Wasserman Media Group. And I got more to say about Wasserman Media Group after this article. Why? Why did the law firm give a quarter, more than a quarter, that's $650,000 to Wasserman Media Group? Campus officials won't provide any details beyond saying that the company provided professional industry research and consulting services. Newly released emails the lawyer obtained showed a Wasserman executive discussing declining ACC football game ratings with the top UNC officials. And later on, we're going to learn that Bubba Cunningham was one of those UNC top officials. Now, this is a new story. Newly released emails the lawyer obtained show a Wasserman executive discussing declining ACC football game ratings with the top UNC officials. This thing could not be more opaque, said attorney David McKenzie, who sued UNC to get the more detailed records. David McKenzie, you've got a public university spending public money on secret consultants to make secret decisions in secret meetings, and then they are refusing to explain any of it. You got a public university spending public money on secret consultants to make secret decisions in secret meetings. Cloak and dagger, skullduggery. Wasserman is a Los Angeles-based, worldwide giant in the sports and musician promotion business with hundreds of clients across professional and collegiate sports. It's also PATC money shot number one of the article. It's also the company the ACC hired in 2023 to keep its brand strong enough to persuade member schools from jumping to the two most powerful and lucrative athletic conferences in the country, the SEC and the Big Ten. Wait, what? Wasserman was the company the ACC hired to help its brand. But the law firm that UNC hired to navigate the next wave of realignment, they took a quarter of that budget and gave it to Wasserman Media Group, and there was somebody at Wasserman Media Group that was talking to Bubba Cunningham about declining ACC ratings. What? That, my friend, is the definition of skullduggery. That means that at the same time Wasserman was helping boost the ACC, it was advising this, it was boosting the ACC, it was advising one of the conference's most high profile members as it considered whether to stay. That could be a conflict of interest on Wasserman's part, said a former UNC system vice president and management professor at NC State. I got more on Wasserman, but just hold on, everybody. Hold on. If their role is to help Carolina leave the ACC for greener pastures, while at the same time trying to help the ACC improve its brand, I mean, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? Said Art Padilla, who helped shape the UNC system conflict of interest policies. Misidentified legal expenses. UNC's law firm paid the Wasserman Media Group. Again, this is the law firm that UNC hired for Carolina Blue Matters. This law firm took a quarter of that and paid Wasserman Media Group more than $187,000, or nearly 30% of the money the firm received for Carolina Blue. Wasserman's involvement might have remained secret if McKenzie hadn't questioned the lack of detail in the first set of bills he received from UNC. But other documents he requested tipped McKenzie that the New York-based law firm UNC hired, one of the top 4 most powerful law firms in the country, Skadden, Arp, Slate, Meager, and Flom, had set up a portal where UNC staff could view additional information about its work that was not included in its one-page bills. After McKenzie sued the university in February, UNC agreed to produce a second set of more detailed bills that exposed Wasserman's involvement. After McKenzie sued the university, North Carolina agreed to produce a second set of more detailed bills. A majority of Wasserman's fees, $112,500, are labeled as for court reporting. Those charges were miscoded, said UNC spokesman Kevin Best. The work was actually professional industry research and consulting services, Best said, but he did not specify what they were. Now, I know this is hard to see. I get this is very difficult to see. You can go back after this live show is over. You can go back. You can make this bigger, do what you want with it. But this was more details of the bill. The disbursement is called court reporting, but that was miscoded. The News and Observer had to press UNC to release the second set of documents. The News and Observer initial request for the documents McKenzie received only produced the set of one-page bills. UNC's public records staff did not respond to a reporter's request for an explanation as to why the second set was not provided. That set also has many redactions. Look, guys, they're even keeping information about bills that North Carolina is paying for redacted. This is a public university. Nobody knows what Wasserman Group did for the law firm, and nobody really knows what the law firm did for North Carolina. All we know is blue. It's for the next wave of conference realignment. That we do know. The university told McKenzie it withheld another Wasserman record, he said, claiming it contains trade secret information. The state public record law allows agencies to withhold information that might expose a business strategy and practices that keep it competitive in the marketplace. McKenzie pushed back, and on Tuesday, UNC released 2 emails. Tuesday, 2 days ago, UNC released 2 emails from October showing Bubba Cunningham discussing the ACC's sinking football game television ratings with Dean Jordan, a Wasserman executive based in Raleigh. Really concerning facts, Cunningham wrote. We need a different scheduling model. And they got it, didn't they? It affects North Carolina less than, Clemson and Florida State and Miami, but Cunningham and Jordan included North Carolina Chancellor Lee Roberts, then General Counsel Charles Marshall, and Chief Financial Officer Nate Knuffman in the emails. UNC officials provided little detail to McKenzie and News and Observer about Skadden and Wasserman's work on behalf of the public university system flagship campus, whose athletic program reported spending more than $185 million in 2024. When asked, they also did not explain why Wasserman was left off legal bills initially made public. Skadden and Wasserman assessed the various contracts that affected our television and conference rights. Spokeswoman Robbie Pickerel Evans said in an email statement, it is prudent to understand issues and opportunities and responsibilities. Again, Skadden, the law firm, and Wasserman talking about television and conference rights. Ladies and gentlemen, they're getting information. They're getting the information that they need from third party, from fourth party, people with ESPN, people with Fox, people with SEC, people with the Big Ten. They're lining up their information. They're lining up what they need to do with the Board of Governors. They're lining things up. That's what they're doing. UNC's athletic director, Bubba Cunningham, could not be made available for an interview because he has a packed schedule, she wrote in an email. UNC, they're not, they're not. North Carolina's not. They're letting the clock run out here. They're going to give us. They don't want to give up any information. They don't want to give up any information. They don't want any other university to know exactly where they are when it comes to their progress in the next realignment. Allegedly. Karen Lent, one of Skadden's attorneys who worked on Carolina Blue, said the firm could not discuss it because of active litigation, but did not specify what it was. Wasserman officials in Los Angeles did not return an email request for comment, but Jordan told the News and Observer in a brief phone interview after the story was initially published that the firm does not discuss its clients. Jordan, the managing executive for Global Sports Media Rights, said he is not involved in the firm's branding business, but he added, I'm sure that anything they did for the ACC, if we had any conflicts, were disclosed and approved. ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips approached at an ACC football media event in Charlotte on Tuesday, said he was unaware of Wasserman's work for UNC, but it did not trouble him. I really don't have any concerns, Phillips said, when asked about a potential conflict of interest. I don't believe it's the same people. Wasserman is so large. And our thing has just been about branding, accomplished greatness. So I've not talked to them about anything other than that. And finally, in the article, The Athletic in February broke the news of UNC paying Skadden to explore its options amid conference realignment. The Sports Business Journal reported ACC partnership with Wasserman in July of 2023. Okay, there's a couple of things I want to do. We really know? Hold on here. I apologize. I'm way behind. Hammer Hennison. I'll get to my point in a second. So make Sankey the bad guy by offering each conference the same amount of teams. Pay the participants of each playoff game based on number of eyeballs. Thank you, Hammer Hennison. Thank you for your super chat. Appreciate it so very much. I think some people would agree with you on that. Jose, DEFCON 1, baby. Big Ten needs to fight on. Jose, a Cloak and Dagger member for 20 months. Holy smokes. You are officially knighted, Cloak and Dagger. I'm going to sneeze here. I apologize. Anthony Carlson, holy moly. Anthony Carlson, Mr. Spartans, sends 20 gift memberships. My goodness. James Foster, Maurice Ireland, LV Seminole, Carson, J-Rod 112278, Minnie Hunt. I don't have the other names. I do apologize. For those who were gifted a membership, because the incredible generosity of Anthony Carlson, please give time to say thank you to Mr. Spartan. Thank you to Anthony Carlson. All of you are officially knighted, Cloak and Dagger. Thank you, Mr. Carlson. I thank you so much for your generosity, helping us keep the lights on here so we can do this every single day. Thank you so very much. Holy smokes. My goodness. Incredible generosity. My goodness. Thank you, Mr. Carlson. Wow. Very humbled by that. Thank you, sir. So, a couple of things. I don't want to leave this article yet. We've got more to get to, though, when it comes to the skullduggery of North Carolina, or the alleged skullduggery of North Carolina. Again, I only can tell you guys what we believe to be true. Every single person that I've talked to that has any credibility on this subject, North Carolina knows where they sit. They know they are the biggest domino. They know, they believe, they have the same perception as everybody else that things will unravel once North Carolina makes their decision. Not only when they make their decision, but like when they like it isn't just about North Carolina going, okay, we would like to go to the Southeastern Conference. Is how do they get to that point? Because they've got hurdles. They've got the Board of Governors, right? They've got to figure out. You got to remember, the Board of Governors, the 24-member, they have to receive a financial plan from UNC that says this is how it looks like if we would join Conference X versus this is how it's going to look like if we remain in the ACC. They have to give the Board of Governors, not the Board of Regents, not the Chancellor of North Carolina, but the Board of Governors, they have to give them a financial plan. That's the first step. So they've got big consulting group. They've got Wasserman Media Group. They're looking at TV contracts. They're looking at what the SEC can do for them. They're looking at the Big Ten, what they can do for them. Right? Okay. Before I get to that, I don't know. Allegedly, David McKenzie possibly is a legend. There may be a conflict of interest. Possible conflict of interest when it comes to UNC hiring a law firm to help them navigate their way through this next conference realignment, and then that law firm hiring, taking $650,000 and giving Wasserman Media Group $187,000 of that, while at the same time Wasserman Group is helping the branding of the ACC. It's a conflict of interest, allegedly. I got one more thing to say about it. I don't know who I've never talked to David McKenzie. I know he's got a long story in this realignment wave. All I know is that about a year ago when I first learned about him, I think he was on the College Football Mafia show. I went to his Twitter account and he had me blocked. He blocked me. I've never spoken to him. I've never said a negative thing about him. Maybe it's he caught my show and he heard that I said that North Carolina was the number one target, and I don't know. Maybe he just thought I don't know. But he blocked me. So I've never talked to him. I don't know if he still has me blocked. I haven't checked. But I'm just going to put this out there in the ether. I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, I possibly remember during the whole USC to the Big Ten, that news when I was breaking, allegedly, I don't know for this for sure, but maybe somebody in David McKenzie's staff can do some research on it. Or maybe even if it's true what I'm about to say, maybe it doesn't have any bearing on what's going on now. But I believe after the UCLA USC story broke on June 30th, I believe that Wasserman Media Group, allegedly, I don't know for sure, was involved in some way with the UCLA going to the Big Ten. I think Wasserman Media Group was involved somehow as a consultant to that move from the UCLA side of it, not USC. So somebody check that out. I'm going to say allegedly, but I remember something, I didn't know it at the time, but it was after the fact. It was one of those things that came across my desk, and it didn't really matter at that point. And even if they were a part of that, it probably has no meaning to the story right now. But I just wanted to bring that up. Okay. Now, we're not done with this. We are not done with this. Hold on one second. I got to do something. I got to clear something up. We are not done with this. We still got to talk about the Clemson curveball. But we're not done with what we were just discussing. I got to clear something up here. Give me a moment. We will get to your phone calls, I promise you. But we've got a very stacked show today. Hold on. Let me get this working again. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, getting back to the story of a couple of days ago that we covered on Inside Carolina. We knew it was a credible report. I looked right in the camera and I wanted everybody to make sure that we were taking this as very credible. And now the Sports Business Journal is talking about it. Other people are talking about it. You've seen multiple outlets report the story that Inside of Carolina did a couple of days ago, which we did a live show on it. Okay? The university, this is a Sports Business Journal. Okay? They went back into it. The University of North Carolina is among a group of schools interested in seeking a potential departure from the ACC when the next round of realignment takes place. And it even could be considered at the front of that pack alongside Clemson. Now, we went crazy with that, right? We said we were speculating. What does that mean? Even could be considered at the front of the pack alongside Clemson. I'm going to get to that a little bit later, okay? We got to talk about Clemson. There's a little bit of a Clemson curveball that has been given to me. So we got to talk about it. According to sources cited by Adam Smith of Inside Carolina, sources said that the SEC is where the Tar Heels are aiming. As we have reported the last couple of years that peek around the corner, under the leadership of Chancellor Lee Roberts and incoming athletic director Steve Newmark, should a move occur. The ACC's decrease in exit fees dip from $93 million to a flat $75 million threshold with the 2030-31 school year, and sources indicated that would figure to become an important final line of demarcation if the Tar Heels haven't made their departure sooner. Smith wrote the settlement to the lawsuit filed by Clemson and Florida State against the ACC provides a substantial victory to the member schools of exploring possible pathways toward leaving the conference and relocating to greener financial pastures. Okay. Sources indicated that Roberts, again, Lee Roberts, who previously spent 30 years in finance, got involved quietly behind the scenes and performed a key role in helping finalize the ACC's agreement. And we reported that months ago, that North Carolina was involved. They were rattling the cages. They wanted to get this done. Okay. I just wanted to show that. Now, I want to show you, like, Aaron Torres reporting. Because On3 also had it, right? On3 also was talking about the same report today that Inside Carolina put out a couple days ago, that we already covered here at Peek Around the Corner. It's gaining mainstream traction. Because, I'm going to tell you why, because it mirrors what the chatter behind the curtain believes is happening. Aaron Torres kind of surprised this story is going viral, as there is nothing new or interesting story. Article explicitly states UNC would be looking to leave in 2030, which is both 5 years from now and when the ACC exit fee drops. We've known this for months at this point. Well, I try to be, I try to be as kind as possible here. I responded to that. This was my response. The article did not explicitly state UNC is looking to leave 5 years from now. But that 5 years from now is the final line of demarcation. I'm answering Aaron Torres when he says article explicitly states UNC would be looking to leave in 2030. That's not what it said. That's not what the report said. That is not what the sources told Inside Carolina, by the way, that mirrors what the chatter behind the curtain. That's not what it said. It said the Tar Heels are aiming to land should it ultimately exit the ACC. The ACC's exit fees dropped from $93 million in 2029-30 to a flat $75 million beginning with the 2030-31 academic year, which would figure to become an important final line of demarcation if the Tar Heels hadn't made their departure sooner. Okay? So it is not, it does not explicitly say that North Carolina is looking to leave in 2030. It does not say that. It's important. It's important to get these details correct, even though it's from a report that may ultimately not be entirely true. But they're trying to get true, right? They got sources telling them. Okay. Here's the thing. A couple of things. And let me get to one more point. there's a lot to go through here. And then Aaron Torres says, when 2030 hits, now he's stuck on 2030, which is fine. I think it's going to happen sooner than that. I'll give you my reasons why here in a moment. My guess is that it will be Virginia, most closely tied to UNC, in their next move. And both Big Ten and SEC are interested. Well, yes, they are. Big Ten and the SEC are interested in North Carolina and Virginia. That is the SEC's number one target, North Carolina. Big Ten, North Carolina, or Notre Dame. We've been reporting on that. Everybody in the industry has been leaked that, has been told that. Then Aaron Torres says, don't see Clemson SEC happening at the moment. Adding another school from South Carolina does little to help grow the league. I'm going to circle back to this. Okay? Don't see Clemson and SEC happening at the moment. Adding another school from South Carolina does little to help grow the league. I'm going to go back to this. This is the Clemson curveball that I want to talk about. This is the Clemson. Look, I spoke to somebody. I said at the beginning of the show that I was going to talk about it. I spoke to somebody in the state of South Carolina. Somebody in media. And I'm not going to go any further than that. About Clemson. He threw me a curveball. I discussed it openly without giving any information about the source. I discussed it with Moen. And Moen has given me the okay for me to talk about it here on this show. But I just wanted everybody to know that I did talk to, this Clemson curveball, which I'm about to disclose, was something that happened before the Inside of Carolina piece came out. And the only proof I got of that is Moen. I talked to Moen about it. So Moen, if somebody challenges it, Moen can say, yeah, Greg did talk to me about the Clemson curveball. And I'll get to that in a moment. So Aaron Torres says, when 2030 hits, my guess is that it will be Virginia, mostly tied to UNC. Okay. I get the logic. I get it. Like, in 2030, 31, it's going to be a $75 million payment to get out of the conference. That is the right time to go, right? 2030, in 2029, the Big Ten is going to be renegotiating their media contract. Logical. Everything is logical, right? And a little bit of time after that, it's going to be the new college football playoffs. It seems like that is the sweet spot, right, for movement. I don't think so. I don't think this is going to go to 2030. I don't think so. And I don't think, while it is easy for reporters and chatter behind the curtain to keep writing that 2030 seems to be the time it's going to happen, I think a lot of them don't believe that. There's a couple of things that is going on here. One is, the more people I talk with, It is foolish to think that the best time economically to leave, if you can leave, is wait for the payment to go down to $75 million. That's foolishness. You leave if you can leave. If there's a landing spot, which North Carolina has, if the Board of Governors play ball, but North Carolina is wanted to the point where they can have a landing spot. If it's economics, they should leave before it gets down to $75 million, because they're going to make more money, even though they're going to pay a higher exit fee years before it gets to $75 million. Here's the other thing. We all can read that chart. We all know it's 147 next year. We know it goes down 18 million a year. We know we've all made these charts. We've all, looked at the numbers. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that 2030, 2031, that is the lowest number to pay for the exit fee. Roberts, the Chancellor of North Carolina, 30 years of financing experience, hiring one of the top 4 most powerful law firms in the country, doing everything that North Carolina has done to get Florida State and Clemson to settle with the ACC, to get that low of a payout, to win, to have that big a victory, to have it written in there that there could be 6+ teams that leave the conference. If they could leave at half the rate, half the exit fee that they owe if they go to a single sport conference, on and on and on. There is every single indication leads me to believe that this is happening before 2030. Every single indication. Every single one. Nothing imminent, but they're not waiting around to 2030, in my strongly held opinion. Now, I want to get to the Clemson curveball. Let me put this report up one more time. I promise you, this monologue has already gone on for 1 hour and 25 minutes. I promise you I will get to your phone calls. You can talk about anything in college football that your heart desires. But I want to get to something here. The part that a lot of people are looking at, North Carolina, yes. I think most people know they're the number 1 targets now. When I talked about it in June 15th of 24, I got dragged over the coals that they were the number 1 target for the Big Ten and the SEC. But now most people have admitted to it. The University of North Carolina is among a group of schools interested in seeking a potential departure from the ACC. A group of schools. Well, that's Florida State. That's Clemson. That's Miami. That possibly could be Virginia and a couple others. Duke, Georgia Tech. A group of schools. Not 1, not just 2, not just 3. Sources told Inside Carolina. When the next round of realignment takes place, and it even could be considered, this is in quotes, even could be considered at the front of that pack alongside Clemson. What does considered at the front of that pack mean? We speculated on what that meant a couple of days ago. I opened up the speculation that, oh boy, We know that Clemson and North Carolina have a very strong relationship. We know we did a Holy Smokes Theater show 6-8 months ago. We had them holding hands at the front of the stage. Everybody knows that. So does that mean, does this report mean that Clemson and North Carolina are in cahoots? They're working together to grease the skids, to go to the Southeastern Conference. Because it says the Southeastern Conference is where the Tar Heels are aiming. So if you take the whole article, the whole report, per sources, does this indicate North Carolina and Clemson are holding hands, working together to both go to the Southeastern Conference? So I open up the speculation on that. And we talked about it on a live show. We were just speculating. And then yesterday we did a live show, and I talked to a couple people behind the chatter behind the curtain, and they said, you know, if the Southeastern Conference could only do a 2-school expansion, and they could not do the big scoop of 4 schools, Clemson and Florida State, North Carolina, Clemson, North Carolina, Virginia, and Florida State, then maybe the 2-school of Clemson and North Carolina is the right blend to get it done. So we speculated on that yesterday. But before the Inside Carolina piece came out, before this was written, it could even be considered at the front of the pack alongside Clemson. We were told, I was told, from somebody in media in the state of South Carolina, that this person has been told by Clemson officials that Clemson was actually more optimistic about a Big Ten invite than the SEC invite. Now, as you know, and he went, and I'm going to give you more information on why. This is why he believed he's been told this by Clemson people. This gentleman reached out to me. He opened up a vein to me. He told me what Clemson officials have told him. And I'll get to that in a moment. The thing is, if he is accurate, or if the Clemson people are accurate in what he's telling him, I should say, then this quote has a different meaning. Even could be considered at the front of that pack alongside Clemson. In other words, who is the most active right now? They're all active. Florida State is as active as can be, obviously. We believe Duke is. We believe Miami is. But if they are getting, if what we are being told, if the Clemson officials that have indicated to this Clemson media is accurate, then this statement could be that Clemson, they're at the front of the pack because they're being really active alongside North Carolina. Being at the front of the pack may not be about being in cahoots with North Carolina, but could be that they're just incredibly active, they're working hard, and they may have traction. Now, let me get back to what the reporter said. The person said that Clemson officials have been told, and it kind of goes along with what Aaron Torres says. Adding another school from South Carolina does little to grow the league in the Southeastern Conference. it actually falls in line with what Paul Feinbaum says. This person in the state of South Carolina who's in media said that the Clemson people have told him South Carolina is really valuable to the Southeastern Conference. In the state of South Carolina, they hold the value. It is hard to squeeze more out of South Carolina. Clemson, of course, big brand, big fan base. Clemson is more valuable than South Carolina. South of South Carolina, north of South Carolina, west of South Carolina, and nationally of South Carolina. But in the state of South Carolina has, it gives the Southeastern Conference basically everything. It is not a drag on the conference. And economically, even though Clemson is a huge brand, this is what this Clemson media guy in South Carolina is being told by the Clemson people. I told you this was a Clemson curveball that I was giving you all. I don't know where to go with this. I'm putting this out there as another dot of information. I'm still, I'm not going to change my prediction of the Southeastern Conference big scoop of Clemson, Florida State, Virginia, and North Carolina. I'm not going to change that. I know I got a 1% chance of getting it right. It's not a report. It was a prediction. But this guy was laying out the value that the University of South Carolina has. And it's very difficult from an ESPN standpoint, from a Southeastern Conference demographic standpoint, from a presidential standpoint, to actually add Clemson to the conference. This is what Clemson people are supposedly telling him. And they are more optimistic about a Big Ten future. Now, again, to me, that was a little bit, this person I deemed highly credible. Highly credible, just like Insider Carolina. And again, I received this information before this Insider Carolina piece came out. So, is Clemson a Big Ten university? No. Could they become a Big Ten university by 2035? That is their goal. Would Clemson be a huge football brand that with the right blend, could they get in the Big Ten? I don't know. I truly don't believe, and I've said this before, and if I'm wrong, I'll take the big L. I would take a big L. I will eat a cheeseburger live in front of this camera if Clemson and Florida State is the two schools that go to the Big Ten. I don't think that blend works. But I've often described Florida State and Miami as a blend that would work, that would check off all the boxes. Could there be a Clemson in Miami? Could there be a Clemson in something else going to the Big Ten? Could there be a Big Ten scoop that has Clemson involved? Could there be an SEC scoop, still a big scoop, that has in North Carolina, Virginia, Duke, and Florida State? I'm just throwing this out there. In my prediction, I don't got Clemson going to the Big Ten. I don't. But this is a person that has had Clemson people telling him that it's going to be difficult, that Paul Feinbaum is correct, that these other reports are correct. It's hard to take a second school from the state of South Carolina. And the University of South Carolina value is extremely underrated. By the way, I don't know if it was the next day or the next few hours. You remember when the Athletic Matt Baker put out that? Let me. Hold on a second here. I want to find this. I got to find what I wrote. Hold on. I think this was a couple days ago. So, this was like an hour or 2 hours after this person talked to me about the value of South Carolina, right? It was a couple hours or 6 hours, I'm not really sure, but it was basically the same day, a little bit afterwards. Matt Baker came out with valuation, and I know a lot of people have problems with the valuation, and that's fine. And I made this statement about South Carolina, knowing what was just told to me. South Carolina's value, if you were to sell the football program, which you're not going to do, would be top 30, I believe. Yeah, not surprised. I said not surprised by South Carolina's top 30 valuation by the Athletic and Matt Baker. Gamecocks much more valuable to the SEC than most CFP fans outside the state of South Carolina would ever give them credit for. Two valuable football programs in South Carolina. Now, does South Carolina have this long history of winning football games and conference titles? No. No, they do not. But every valuation that you look at, you don't have to look at the Athletic. You can look at I did some research after what was told to me by this gentleman. And every other research, South Carolina, a lot of money. A lot of viewership, and their institution is really underrated. So having said all that, that's the Clemson curveball. And when the inside of Carolina came out and said North Carolina is at the head of the pack alongside Clemson in trying to depart the ACC, is that because Clemson and North Carolina are in cahoots to go to the Southeastern Conference, or was that just a simple statement that sources are telling them that Clemson is as aggressive and possibly have traction along with North Carolina, but maybe not going to the same conference? Chris Hughes. Greg, I agree with your prediction. I do believe in the big scoop. And I think Notre Dame would take either Stanford or Miami to the Big Ten. Thank you, Chris Hughes. Thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it. Appreciate it so very much. I honestly think Clemson to the Big Ten is unlikely. Paul Feinbaum said the same thing about Florida State and University of Florida not going to work for the SEC. He is often wrong. Expedition Greg, Georgia Tech Clemson blend is most likely. Thank you for the super chat, Expedition Greg. I appreciate it. I just wanted to put that out there. I wanted to put out the Clemson curve because it was told to me by someone very credible. Clemson is actually more optimistic about the Big Ten. I'm not going to switch my prediction, though. Not going to switch my prediction. I'm just going to go ahead and be wrong if that's the case. P-Lit, Clemson isn't going to be the Big Ten ever. Bo Weevil, anybody with a checkbook and a pulse can get into South Carolina. Clemson is extremely difficult to get into. Academics are very important to the university. Now, that is true. One of the underrated things about Clemson is they got a very high wall that you got to jump over to get into the university, which the Big Ten likes. That is true. That's one of the things about TCU. TCU, if it ever gets in a battle between TCU and Texas Tech to be the 24th team in the Big Ten or whatever, that's one advantage that TCU has. Something that the Big Ten universities look at. I'm not going to switch it. I'm not going to switch it. Nope. But I had to give you guys this information. And then when this Inside of Carolina thing came out, I'm like, oh, but we shall see. We are going to open up the phone lines here. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to make sure I got to everybody's super chat. The phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. North Carolina, Skullduggery in the Holy Smokes Theater.
From
Rick?
Rick, the floor is yours. Thanks for calling, sir. I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you. I'll try to keep it short. Should be a lot of calls on today's subjects. I really enjoyed the cloak and dagger with the law firm there at North Carolina.
Yeah.
But the real call is about Ross Dellinger's tweet yesterday. Yeah, I didn't hear you touch base with it on yesterday's show. On the potentially historic day on Capitol Hill, when two Democrats are introducing a bill that does permit what many within the industry crave, collective bargaining with athletes.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't touched it. I think I will eventually.
Oh, wonderful.
Look, I'm not touching the I haven't talked about the SCORE Act looking like it's going to be, it's one. Okay, so this is my.
Really? I thought I heard you discuss that a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I did because it's getting marked up. It's going through committees. It's going.
Well,
but if it got. Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me finish. But I'm not gonna keep it running. Like today, there was more information about it. If it ever gets voted on by the entire House, I'll cover it. And if it passes, then I'm not going to really talk about it again until if there is some bipartisanship involved. I'm not going to go daily and cover just like the Florida State Clemson court cases. I covered the beginning of it, but I wasn't going to go through the daily minutia of what was happening. But again, you're right. It's a big deal. Two Democrats. Again, That's great. If it gets more traction, I'll talk more about it, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, for convenience sake, I think it's been marked up as Senate Bill 3415. So you can,
all right,
you can put that down as the College Athlete Right to Organize Act.
All right, I'll take a look at it.
Super. Talk to you later.
Got it. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. I lost my sound bar here. Here we go.
From
CFP Plus.
CFB Plus, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. The floor is yours. And CFB Plus, I'm going to be sending you my official playoff predictions. Could you redo your art for me?
Absolutely.
I appreciate it, sir. You're a good man. You're a good man and a scholar. At least you're a good man. I don't know about the scholar part, but thank you, sir. Go ahead.
I'm a bit of a scholar. So, briefly, I don't know if you saw, but during your live show, the FCC approved the merger between Paramount and Skydance. So,
okay,
I know we all kind of...
time out. That was going on while I was doing my show?
Yes, I saw a news blip.
Okay, so if you have a link, if somebody has a link,
I personally saw it on Mo News on Instagram, and they're pretty good.
Okay, if somebody sees a link on X, send a DM to me. I would appreciate it. Go ahead, sir.
Here, I can take a screenshot. I'll send it to you.
Okay.
But anyways, aside from that, the whole Clemson curveball, in some ways, actually makes a lot of sense. Because the national reporters, from what it sounds like, is that they think that the SEC is going to grab North Carolina and Virginia, and then they're going to stop. And then the big scoop theory with the SEC, I think, is predicated on keeping the Big Ten really out of the state of Florida with a potential Miami and FSU blend. Is that correct?
The SEC is going to what now? Try to keep Big Ten out of Florida?
No, yeah, that's the reason why, or a big reason why the big scoop theory has, I guess, some legs to it, or the reasoning behind it would be that the SEC would prevent the Big Ten from getting Florida State and Miami and having a really big foothold in the state of Florida.
Okay.
But if with the Clemson curveball, that kind of makes sense because a Miami Clemson blend would somehow leave Florida State out, which could satisfy the SEC, where they don't have to worry about the Big Ten getting Florida State and Miami in the state of Florida, but they don't have to add Clemson and Miami in markets that they already have, that, like the gentleman earlier in your Twitter monologue said that Clemson doesn't add much in terms of value to the SEC. So that kind of makes sense. Again, everything's still fluid and up in the air, but it might connect some of the puzzle pieces that are still kind of floating around. But I don't know. But what do you think of, and kind of as an aside, what do you think of a potential Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and Notre Dame blend to the Big Ten?
I mean, sure, but I just, again, see, I have a hard time. I just don't think there's any way the SEC would allow that to happen. And when I say allow, then Big Ten people get upset with me, but the Southeastern Conference does have advantages in that they have a relationship with the ESPN. They have a lot of personal relationship with these universities. You know, they're in the Southeast, for God's sake. There's advantages. There's built-in advantages, and I cannot fathom the SEC. Sure. It could. Would that work for the Big Ten? Absolutely. Do I see it happening? Absolutely not. But, you know, I could be wrong, right? I'm going to be wrong. So that doesn't even, I'm going to be wrong. I've said that. There's too many variables. Who the hell knows? This ain't like these other realignment waves. But I cannot see that happening. But would that work for the Big Ten? Absolutely. But
okay.
It's just too much. I mean, what is the SEC doing if they allow that to happen? I don't see it happening.
I don't see that happening either. And the reason why I guess I asked that is maybe the SEC feels confident that the Big Ten is not going to take Florida State, even if there was the opportunity to. And they're willing to give up Clemson and Miami and let Florida State kind of be on a raft of its own. And that's why the national media, they feel as if the SEC, they're going to add North Carolina, Virginia, and just hang tight. I don't know. That's just a kind of a thought I had. I sent you a screenshot on Twitter DM. But that's all I got.
I got an article here. I'm gonna go through this real quick, but I appreciate your phone call, my man.
Thank you. Thanks for the show.
You got it. Thanks for the heads up. Thank you so much, CFP Plus. Big Gun Shop. Super Chat, $5. Holla from the Big Gun Shop. Thank you so much for your generosity. I do appreciate it. Now, so we got breaking news here. And of course, I'm going to look at it from a little bit of a different direction, because that's what I do. Federal regulators approved Paramount's $8 billion deal with Skydance, capping months of turmoil. The stamp of approval comes after months of turmoil revolving around President Trump's legal battle with 60 Minutes. Okay, so Skydance, I'm gonna take this off here. What I'm about to say is I believe this is true. It's going to be called Skydance Paramount Global. Right? Skydance Paramount Global. And for our purposes here at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, that they're going to own CBS Sports. One of the main... Now, somebody Google this, because maybe... No, I think I got this right. I'm trying to remember all the other reports I've done on this. The main private equity investor of the Paramount Global part of this merger, because Skydance was the son of Larry Ellison, I think. But the major investor in Paramount Global, the major private equity company that's involved in this is Redbird Capital. They've been working on this merger. So, we got a lot of stories. We're getting a, if you look at Front Office Sports, Amanda Krisovich, she just had another report yesterday about the Big Ten being asked by Tony Petitti, Tony Petitti was asked about private equity, and Tony Petitti gave the same answer. We're still looking into it. We haven't gotten a deal that would work for us, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, they're not going to have a deal that works for them until they sign a deal, right? I mean, it's going to be the same answer over and over and over. Redbird Capital was one of those, it was the leading private equity contender to get a deal done with the Big 12, with Brett Yormark, if you remember the reports from Yahoo Sports, Ross Dellinger. So, Skydance, Paramount Global, with Redbird Capital being in the catbird seat, does that push anything along when it comes to private equity getting involved at a conference level when it comes to college football? We shall see. I just wanted to bring all that up once again. Thank you, Rod Nix. I appreciate it. Redbird Capital. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll keep an eye on that story. Again, I'm not going to follow every daily minutia of all these stories that we're covering.
Call from
Wild Ute.
Wild Ute is on the line. The floor is yours. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing good, and I heard that Mr. Dampier made quite the impression on reporters during Big 12 Media Day. Like, he was a very impressive dude, loves college football, so it went pretty good for him during the Big 12 Media Day, or for those who talked to him and interviewed with him. Go ahead, sir. The floor is yours.
He's a stud. He's going to be a star. You watch the Utes and stuff. They've actually got the explosive offense for the first time in many years. So,
all right.
Texas Tech, Utah, watch out. I think the College Game Day is coming to it in week 4.
Woo!
It's a huge Big 12 game.
The Red Raiders and the Utes.
Yeah, seriously. So,
Yeah.
love that. Love that football season's coming up, and I think that the realignment chatters, it's fun, too, to hear about this North Carolina business with the SEC, everything that you've been all over, everything that, the community's talked about for a long time here.
Yeah.
The Clemson spin's interesting, right?
Yeah.
That's what the call's about right here, is Clemson, like trying to understand this from Clemson and Florida State.
Yeah.
For me, the more I hear here is the more I think that Florida State really is destined for Big Ten. Like, I kind of felt that way all along. The numbers made sense.
Yep.
And like in originally looking like at just the numbers and everything, I get the numbers aren't everything. It's just a piece of it. But the Big Ten has a lot more to gain by grabbing the Noles and even the Tigers. And guess like the Tigers aren't as much of a cultural fit, but like getting those two would be just a massive move in realignment. It would be the power move that swings the domino chip for like the most powerful conference. It always was that too.
Yeah. I will eat a cheeseburger if that is the combo. I just can't see that working through the Big Ten presidents. There's got to be a blend there, and I don't think that blend works. Florida State and Clemson, I don't think it works. But you know what? I am open to being wrong. I'm open to eating a cheeseburger and dying live in front of a camera for your entertainment. And but I don't see that happening. But you know what? This Clemson, I shouldn't say Clemson, this media person in the state of South Carolina, I don't know. I don't know what to think. He's definitely credible, and he's like, Clemson people are more optimistic about the Big Ten because, and then he talked about the University of South Carolina, and and Clemson is more valuable than South Carolina, south of the state, north of the state, west. I mean, he went really into the details of it. The Clemson people were telling him, we think we got a better shot at the Big Ten. But, I don't think anybody's closing any door in any possibility, obviously, at this point. Because I don't think anything's done yet.
Yeah. The SEC already owns South Carolina and Florida. That was always the issue for the Noles and the Tigers. Like, they were already occupied that. That's SEC territory. So you're double dipping. You're not getting any extra market there. You're just getting the football brands.
Florida's a lot bigger state, though.
I mean, Florida's a lot bigger state, but Gainesville versus Tallahassee, you're both. It's not like going down to Miami. Miami is like a completely different world.
Yeah.
And everything. But I think that going back to old thoughts too here. So I really think that Stanford's got to be in play still with Notre Dame. I think that absolutely is in play for Big Ten. So if you did some type of combo blend with Florida State, Notre Dame, and Stanford, with maybe a Georgia Tech, a Clemson, or a Miami add-on, it kind of seems like those numbers work, those markets work. Like you're actually tackling a lot there. So just some points for consideration there, given recent developments.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, you guys got a show tonight or what? No, you're a holiday today. What's going on?
Oh yeah, in Utah it's Pioneer Day, so it's a state holiday. So we're all resting, having a good time here.
Beautiful.
In the state of Utah, so just binging on college football content like usual.
So you guys not doing a show tonight, or?
It's still up. We'll be on tomorrow night though.
Okay.
Big Freaking Friday show for sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, take care, Greg.
You got it, buddy. Appreciate it. Great call, sir. Yeah, I don't know. Wild Youth thinks it's a chance. I don't know. He thinks Wild Youth's always been Florida State to the Big Ten. It's got to happen. It's got to happen. Yeah, pretty interesting. Pretty interesting talk. The Clemson curveball, we're calling this tonight. A lot of people taking a shot at Utah. I don't know, guys. They're going to move the ball on the ground. They're going to move the ball on the ground. That's one thing Utah is going to be able to do. Behind that line of scrimmage, they're going to move the ball. I want to give a special shout out. Chris Hughes, thank you for the super chat. One thing to consider, do Florida State and Miami want their other sports traveling nationally in the Big Ten instead of regionally in the SEC? Well, Miami travels on a plane anyways, right? They don't drive anywhere. Everywhere Miami football team plays, they're on a plane. Having said that, I do understand your question. And again, if you join the Big Ten, you're going to be national. You're going to be in the air a lot longer if you stay in the Southeastern Conference. But, it might not even be a matter of what they want. It's a matter of how it shakes out. Even though these are incredibly valuable schools, in a place where the Big Ten has to get into, and the Southeastern Conference is going to be looking to spread the footprint of their conference. It might just come down to, oh, we got an invitation, we're going to take it. It might not even be a shopping thing. It might be, oh, you're giving us an invitation, Southeastern Conference, Mr. Sankey? All right, we worked this out. We got the approval. We're taking it. Oh, Tony Petitti and the Big Ten presidents have approved us. We're taking it. There might not even be a time for comparison. There might not even be a time for choosing. But that is one big thing to consider. No question, Chris Hughes. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you for your generosity, all your support to our channel, helping us keep the lights on. I want to thank Preston from Greensboro, Ryan Willie, MBM, Expedition Greg, Hamber Hennison, Jose, Anthony Carlson with his huge, gigantic gift membership, 20 of them to the family. Thank you, Anthony Carlson. Appreciate it so very much. Expedition Greg, Chris Hughes, Big Gun Shop. Thank you guys for your generosity. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel. And for people in the PATC family, let your family members, your loved ones know if they love college football, they want to watch a National College Football YouTube channel that covers everything in college football. This is the channel. Have them subscribe. Subscribe to our channel. Turn on those notifications. We can come on live at any time covering breaking news in the college football landscape. I promise tomorrow we're going to get back on it. We are going to do a spotlight on some team in FBS that we haven't done it yet. We've done more than 50% of them, but we got more work to do. So subscribe to our channel. Open up, turn on those notifications. Smash the like button if you've liked our content today. But more importantly, keep your head on a swivel. If there's breaking news, we're going to be covering it here at College Football's Peak Around the Corner. Until next time, from all of us at PATC to all of you, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so very much.